Okay, so it's recording, and hi, welcome to the first episode of whatever this podcast is, whatever it's called.
We haven't found a name yet.
We're not. We just how it all started was pretty much I was enjoying my time, okay, watching fight scenes from Ip Man 2. This guy named Nick C.
No JoJo? No JoJo?
No JoJo. You must be surprised. No JoJo. But I was enjoying my time watching fight scenes from Ip Man 2, you know, Donnie Yen. But this guy said, "Oh, Nintendo Switch is." He just messaged me that the Nintendo Switch was gonna fail, and well, actually,
Oh,
no.
I said look at the stocks.
He said, "Judging by the people's reactions," and I quote, "Judging by the people's reactions in videos and their stock, Wii U 2.0." And then I'm just saying random stuff defending it, and it's like, oh, well, it can't be Wii U 2.0. It's impossible. But and just for confirmation, but at the same time, what he's saying was similar to what Dave said. Okay, it's how it looked, the initial reaction. It was horrible, and so, but he does not agree that it will be Wii U 2.0. So I'm going to introduce these two fine folks here. The first one owns a game store that I apparently own. Well, I apparently go there quite an often basis. It has a large variety of games.
Live there.
Anyways, shameless plug over there. If you live in the Mississauga area and you would like to trade in games for
Canada,
me to buy, okay, for me to buy, that is the key instinct there.
For me to buy.
For me to buy, it has to be me. For me to buy, go to Game Experts down in where can you find it?
Mississauga, Ontario, in Canada. It's near Toronto. We've got all your gaming needs, and yeah, come check us out.
Yeah. Well, remember, trade in your rare games over there, because clearly I want them. So, and the next guy is probably my good friend Nick, who can sometimes be a douche, and he is incredibly biased against Nintendo.
Wow, Ben. Wow.
Lost faith in a lot of things. But don't worry, Nick. This is a therapy session.
Yes, Ava is life.
Yeah, we're giving you a therapy session to help you open your eyes to see the truth, okay? Not everything has to be shit.
I don't need to see the truth. I played Persona 4. I've seen the truth.
But not everything has to be shit. I know exams are coming, but not everything needs to be shit. That is the difference. Okay, anyways.
Nice.
So yeah. Welcome to the show. We're already like, what? I don't know how long we're in this, and I still haven't introduced the first topic. So, let's talk about the initial reactions for the Nintendo Switch. We all agree simultaneously that we're disappointed. We all are disappointed by what they've shown.
Absolutely, and we
showed
should
like
be.
Nothing, man.
Absolutely, and we absolutely should be. I actually looked at the lineup recently, and there's, I think, under 10 games for the entire year.
There's like 12, I
There's
think.
actually 12.
Yeah, and okay, 12, but I mean, 12 when you're talking about a year span versus even a regular launch.
Yeah.
That doesn't look promising, and we're talking about only the second Nintendo console in the history of Nintendo consoles to not release with a Mario game. NES released, of course, with Mario Brothers. Super Nintendo released with Super Mario World. N64 launched with Mario 64. GameCube launched with Luigi's Mansion, but it's still like a Mario Universe type style game, and it's its own game, but it's still sort of a Mario game. I mean, you could have put Mario in the mansion; it would have been a Mario game. It would have been something like Sunshine. And then you have Wii Sports, so that was the first one that didn't, but it did get bundled with that game, which ended up being the most popular game. And then you have the Wii U, which also came with a new Super Mario U game. Yep. So this is only the second Nintendo console to not come out with a Mario game, and it's disappointing. If Odyssey doesn't come out this year, or if Odyssey gets delayed, that could be a big problem for Nintendo going forward.
Okay, what about you, Nick? What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts. During the press conference, they took way too long to get to the actual meat of any information that's relevant towards the console. In addition to failing to actually give any technical specs of the console, which 2 months from the release should really be known by now.
Okay, well, at the same time, speaking of specs, we could all debate that the specs likely are not going to be that good.
Supposedly, they are the same as a NVIDIA Shield from 4 years ago.
Okay, well, where do you think this, in terms of specs, where do you think this console would be? Between less than an
Between
Xbox
generations.
One, is it going to be better than the Xbox 360, PS3? Is it going to at least
Honestly,
better than that?
I don't think it actually outputs 1080p, so I'm gonna say no.
Apparently, according to it docked, it outputs 1080p. Undocked, it outputs 720. At least for Breath of
Yeah,
the Wild.
it's 720 native in its raw form, which of course is the tablet form. And I want to address something besides technical specs. They didn't address battery life, which is a huge concern going forward, specifically for a portable machine. Breath of the Wild not only takes 40% of the initial 32 gig onboard memory, it also has apparently a 2.5 hour battery life, or 3 hours on a generous day. So charging and recharging and then charging and recharging, that's going to lower battery life and battery consumption. And so that 2.5 hour gap for Breath of the Wild could easily turn into an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, or 2 hours. So that's very concerning going forward. Besides the fact that, of course, the specs weren't shown, and of course, I mean, the specs weren't shown. I mean, they can't say that their system is $399 and less powerful than a PlayStation 4. It doesn't make sense. Or an Xbox One. Xbox One $299 on Boxing Day in the US, which will match this price of the Switch, but it came with a game. In Canada, you can buy the same thing with 2 controllers, a game, for under the price of a Switch. So very concerning going forward, especially because, Microsoft's new console's coming out this year.
Well, it's not generally a new console. It's just an upgrade, isn't it?
Right. But it is a huge technical increase. I mean, 4K native. We're going to be looking at 4K native.
And Blu-ray.
And 4K Blu-ray. So, and not to mention HDR support. HDR is a new thing on most televisions now that are coming out, and it's kind of the future of high-resolution gaming. So, yeah, HDR is going to be a big one, I think.
Do you think 4K will actually be that relevant? Do you think 4K is that relevant currently?
On the PC side of things, yes. Console, not so much.
Well, why? Is it actually?
PC?
Yeah, PC's been doing 4K for a while now, and what you're getting is these high resolution textures and these high, really good frame rates with that high resolution, and it's just looking really, really beautiful. So yeah, there's future in 4K gaming, absolutely, for PC. And, going to console side, I mean, to say that it's not going to console side, I mean, all that means is that someone's either connecting their PC or not to the TV before 4K gaming becomes a thing. Microsoft is always ahead of the curve in terms of high definition graphics and testing new waters with new hardware and new system upgrades, specifically on the console side. So Microsoft already had 720p on the original Xbox. We're talking 2001. Microsoft also had 1080 upscaling with almost 720 native on Xbox 360 in 2005. So going 4K, they're ahead of the curve, but not this generation or this half generation. The one after 4K is going to matter because the systems could easily lock you out if you don't have a 4K. They could do that essentially.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, what else can we talk about in terms of this presentation?
I have something to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Along the lines of the video outputs, although not exactly the same. So far as you know, the Switch is the only console that does not support any form of VR.
Yeah.
Did the Xbox One actually confirm that?
Xbox supports Oculus.
Oh, okay, it supports. Okay, and you find that really yeah, I could. Yeah, well, do you really think VR is that relevant?
I mean, we could be very well looking at
right now.
We could very well be looking at what 3D was, when Avatar the movie came out in 2009. We could very well be looking at a huge gimmick going forward. 3D TVs bombed hard. It doesn't work in certain spaces, and VR at home use, it could not work. there might have to be controlled spaces, like kind of like an arcade. You'd have to go to a certain place to experience VR, and you're going to pay that extra premium to make sure that you can play under a controlled space. So I think in controlled spaces, VR is looking really good. In a home, it's going to be hard. It's a hard sell. And I think that PSVR is not doing as well as they had probably planned, but they won't come out with numbers as usual to cover it. And going forward, I mean, yeah, Microsoft supports one over the other, but will that matter? I don't think Switch is gonna. I don't think Switch is gonna be. It's gonna be determined because it doesn't have VR. I don't think it's
dependent on it.
Yeah, it's not dependent on VR or being or having VR. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, if it dies out, it's like, oh, because it was VR.
Yeah.
That won't be the reason.
Of course,
that won't be the reason if it's not successful.
Yeah, I was talking more along the lines of just performance of the console.
Okay, so so what you're saying is because because Nintendo Switch supposedly can't do VR, therefore it would probably be a really weak system.
Not really weak, but not as strong as current gen when it's supposed to be next gen.
Here's my question though. What was your initial impression of the Nintendo Switch when that trailer came out? Because clearly, in my mind, like I thought it was a nifty idea.
I thought Nintendo was setting up to compete against their own 3DS when I first saw the original trailer.
It's a weird thing because, while they didn't say it and while they still haven't said it, it looks very much like with the announcement of a few games, specifically Dragon Quest X and Dragon Quest XI coming to Nintendo Switch, it looks very clear to the people that were on the inside, like myself, who obviously realized looks like the 3DS library and the 3DS publishers are going to be moving on to Switch. If that's the case, we're going to get a lot more support for Nintendo. The problem is, can they sustain the support, and can they get other third parties interested? The big one here is going to be EA, because EA is not bringing a FIFA game to Switch right away, and that's very concerning. FIFA is one of the best-selling franchises, period. I mean, you have Grand Theft Auto 5, FIFA, and the Call of Duties every year. Those are the ones that sell. Now, we're probably going to get a Call of Duty. We already know Bethesda's putting Skyrim on there. That's a good one from Bethesda.
But it's not day one.
But
No, it's not day one.
They are getting a FIFA though, that was confirmed.
Yeah,
Okay.
but going forward, I think EA's other franchises. The fact that EA didn't put a FIFA
Like
on it
Battlefield,
initially, it's kind of concerning because you need to put some software on here, especially when you've got, I think it's 4 games or 5 games on that first day. I don't think I've ever seen a console lineup with quite so low. And then the worst part about the presentation, unfortunately, was the fact that a game like ARMS, which looks like in this day and age, that looks like a downloadable game or a tech demo.
Yeah, it doesn't look like
sports. It doesn't look like you can charge me $79.99 for that game. And again, we're talking Canada, so $59 in US, but even $49 US for that game. I think that's kind of crazy to ask for a full-fledged game. That looks like a mini game that's included in one of those 30-in-1 Wii games. Yeah. So it's very concerning going forward. Can they sustain it? And I think that they can, but my whole thing was 2019 and 2020 look like the year for the Switch. And we've had it before. 3DS did horribly when it first came out. Nintendo had to drop the price immediately. No one bought it. And look at this year, 2017. You're talking, I think 3DS comes out in 2011. 6 years later, it's on the top 10 most requested Christmas items. New 3DS XL is on the top 10 Christmas items for this year.
It's true. I tried to buy like my 600 3DS at EV Games. Can't find one.
They're all sold out. They're all sold out, and it was crazy to watch that the system that could not sell itself in 2011 was selling like hotcakes in 2017. I was under the impression everyone had a 3DS. I was mistaken, but that's the surprise of Nintendo.
I guess now you could say that everyone technically does have a 3DS. At least anybody who plays games at a regularly frequent basis. I don't like using the term gamer, to be honest. It's like such a useless title. It's like one of those generic titles that labels you in a bad way.
But to interject,
okay,
3 to 4 years for a console is typically half or more of its lifespan.
Okay.
So for it to take that long to actually gain steam is too late. Like consoles don't last that long ever.
Yeah, well, what we're seeing is something brand new though. We're getting PS4 Pro, we're getting Xbox Scorpio, where they're not shutting out the previous generation. I'm so excited for both PS4 Pro going into 4K with Xbox One going into 4K with Scorpio because I don't have to buy a new controller. I don't have to buy new games. I don't have to buy I don't have to buy this console. But if I do, I'm safe. And I think that with the Switch, if they decide to do these sort of 0.5s and maybe 0.5 again instead of making a whole new console, I think we're in a whole new era of console gaming. And console gaming is a weird thing right now because while it's lowering in sales in Japan, we're seeing a huge rise in Europe and North America. People want to play consoles in North America and Europe, and people want to own things, and that's amazing, and that's really, really nice that's happening. I hope the Asian market picks up, but that's the one thing. And China, of course, lifting the console ban to allow PlayStation 4 and Xbox One to enter this year was huge. That's going to help the gaming market as a general too. So going forward, if they do the 0.5 consoles, I think that Nintendo Switch is 3 years into the life cycle. Oh, it's starting to pick up steam. It's been 6 years for 3DS, and after the third year mark, it hasn't really stopped. It kind of went down on the fifth year, but then the sixth year went back up again. So we've seen these sort of ups and downs, but 3DS is back on top, and it's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
I can honestly just imagine that Nintendo's gonna Nintendo it up and just say, "Oh, the new Nintendo Switch,
new Switch,
or Switch U, or some."
And that's the thing. We got new 3DS. We're getting PS4 Pro. We're getting Xbox Scorpio. These are not whole new systems. We're seeing slight upgrades, much like how iPhones work. We're getting new iterations of the same thing. And we're saying we're not shutting out people, but we're probably shutting out people. But I think this is the smarter approach.
To shut out the people.
Well, no, it's a smarter approach because at first you're not shutting them out. You're telling them you don't have to upgrade, and then 3 years, 4 years down the road, it's like this one game, it requires the upgrade. So I think it's a slow transition, but it's better than a new console every 5 years because that business model will probably not survive in 2017 or going into 2020 and 2022 and stuff like that. The 5 year cycle seems low. Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 were some of the longest generations, and no one was really complaining. Everyone was sort of happy that they didn't have to buy a new console. And now, of course, they showed their age over time, but that doesn't matter too much. I mean, the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5 can even run on a 500 megabyte RAM is nothing short of a miracle on Xbox 360. It's just not even short of a miracle. So I love it, and I don't think we need consoles every 5 years necessarily.
Well, okay. Well, you still kind of didn't. You kind of tiptoed around the my initial question, Dave, and that was, the initial reveal trailer. That one with Carol and her bringing the Switch to the party and all that.
Yeah. What did I think about my initial? It looked like what the Wii U wanted to do. The Wii U, when you first looked at it, especially as a gamer standpoint, I can't say for the mass markets, but when I saw the Wii U for the first time, I thought that the tablet, one of the best features was that, someone's using the TV, throw the game onto the tablet, and then take it with you. I thought that was the whole point. And it wasn't. And so Nintendo Switch is basically just taking those similar ideas and actually solidifying them and sort of saying, yes, this is concrete now, and this is for every single game. And the way that they talked to people in this last conference was weird. They talked to them like they were a bunch of toddlers trying to explain
the Nintendo
because they were making sure that you understood how it worked because the Wii U was just terrible in marketing. The marketing part of Wii U was bad, but I think that's also attributed to the fact of the name. It was very confusing to find out that it was a Wii U and not the Wii, and people were like, is it a tablet? Is it a new Wii? I'm very confused. Is it a new edition of the Wii? Through with it, and everyone was still mad.
Because they got,
You know what I mean? So they could never get away with that either. So I think Nintendo's the only one that can do it, and again, like we could see a huge resurgence a few years even after the system's launched.
I also feel that the 3DS is going to become basically the Vita, wherein you can have some third parties supporting it still, but the main developer won't actually support it any longer.
And they need to abandon it as fast as possible now. I mean, there's no software coming out on Switch for this year. There's one Mario title. We don't know what Retro Studios is doing. Reggie Fils-Aimé on the last interview actually just got asked, what about some of the...
Okay, so I lost track on what we're talking about. Oh, right. You were on about Reggie Fils-Aimé and his...
Yeah. So
lack of support.
one of the things that Nintendo likes doing, and Zelda again is a bad example of that, but they don't like to announce things too early in development. I mean, one of the things that they've done really well in the past years for E3 specifically is they announce a game and it comes out this November. So they're announcing it in May and it comes out in November or holiday. And that's really good. That gets gamers really excited because when you're telling me, oh, wow, I've never seen this before, and all of a sudden I'm going to get to play it this year, that's really exciting, especially as a gamer. Bethesda's really good at that too. Bethesda said in May, oh, Fallout 4's coming out, guys. And by the way, you're going to play it this year in November. And that was fantastic. I mean, if you're going to be like Square Enix where you love to announce things and you don't like to come out with things, it really
Square
sucks. And
Enix.
people,
Come
I think
on, when
people-
is my Final Fantasy VII remake?
Yeah, and that's
It's
the thing.
coming
like,
in 5 parts, man. Relax.
we
Oh, no,
lose
please.
interest. We lose
Yeah.
interest, and we're not as invested anymore. So I think Nintendo has been pretty good with that. I'm just hoping that they really bring their A game to E3 because they have a few studios, and we don't know what any of them are working on right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Although supposedly Shin Megami Tensei.
Supposedly Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
So we confirmed. Let's see the 12. Let's see the 12 games that are confirmed. So
It's Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Snap,
Bomberman,
Bomberman, Tetris, Mario
Oh,
Kart
Just
8
Dance.
Deluxe,
Just Dance 2017.
Mario Odyssey.
Well, I was saying launch date, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Wait, you said that.
Mario Kart 8.
I think
one
of Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem
Fire Emblem's-
Warriors.
Fire Emblem, you know,
it's not a Fire Emblem game. It's like what
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors is.
It's
Yeah.
Dynasty.
So it's Dynasty
It's
Warriors
Koei.
with a fire. Excuse me. It's a Dynasty Warriors with a Fire Emblem skin.
Emblem
which,
skin.
Honestly, I'm not so sure if that actually makes fans happy or if it makes them actually kind of sad because Fire Emblem, you could get away with Zelda, okay? Zelda could get away with it because they always had this like open world 3D feel where you could just control your character and like other stuff. And for the most part, the combat it has a lot of it has interactive combat. For Fire Emblem, however,
It's turn-based.
it's turn-based. It's a tactical RPG where you just move your unit to one
It's-
section
it-
to another,
It's
and then
going to be
you
Dynasty Warriors with skins, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
The word
Well-
Fire Emblem is on it, which is exciting, but it's hard not to get excited when you hear the word Fire Emblem. But
when you think Fire Emblem, you think one of the best RPGs.
and here's the thing, those bite-sized mobile games that I was talking about, how is it that they didn't want to do like a mobile Fire Emblem game on this new platform? How hard is that to make? Or a 2D Metroid game. They could have made that. Hell, Nintendo's really weird because I don't think they've even learned. They're always a few steps back in certain aspects. And one of the aspects is they haven't learned that both PS4 and Xbox One, they didn't have very many titles to begin with. So what did they start doing? They started remastering a lot of them. And Nintendo could easily I mean, if they had said...
They could remaster Melee HD.
Melee HD was a big one. Everyone was talking about it. And Ocarina of Time HD. I mean, wow, that would have been incredible. And then give me some of those bite-sized games that we saw in handheld, and we now understand that the Switch is going to enter that space. Give me, a Metroidvania game. Give me another
Metroid 2 remake.
A good Star
give me
Fox game.
Advanced Wars. Maybe an Advanced Wars game. There's so many franchises they have. So many franchises.
Honestly, I think Nintendo's probably one of the. It's like one of. Nintendo is a rare company where it has so much beloved IPs, to the to the point where oh, we're gonna release an F-Zero, everyone goes crazy. We're gonna release a Metroid, everyone goes crazy. Remember, these titles are good. The only one who could butcher them is Nintendo, like they did with Star Fox Zero. Granted though.
Well, Castlevania's Konami though, and Konami.
Okay, well, it's whatever. Screw Castlevania at this point. Screw Konami. We're not talking about Konami here. This is a Nintendo Switch focus. we're talking about the Nintendo Switch here.
Okay, Nintendo Switch. If they got translated Mother 3, that would instantly sell
that will
consoles.
sell.
Like,
No,
like
and on top of
seriously.
it,
Well, one of the things that I didn't like about the press conference is they didn't address Virtual Console. This is actually a big thing going forward. Apparently, from what I'm hearing, GameCube Virtual Console games on the Switch, that is heavily rumored, and notable sources are saying that is actually true, which is very exciting for Virtual Console users.
AKA, we could actually have a port of Melee.
We could have Luigi's Mansion. We could have Sunshine. I mean, the fact that they didn't do Mario Galaxy HD as a launch, or anything, another DK game, F-Zero, where one person's using the tablet and the other person's on the TV or something. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different things you could have done.
For the Wii U, exactly.
Even for both the Wii U or the Switch.
Okay,
so,
well, in this case, it's the Wii U because of the way you're actually talking about the tablet and, like,
right.
The Wii U's idea is the tablet and the TV. You could use them both together.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I know, but you know how you can split screen the Switch, right?
I'm not so sure. You can't
because you can't see through the dock.
Yeah, so the dock will split screen. I don't know if you could somehow attach a cable and then still send a signal to the TV to do two-player. I mean, I don't know if that's possible, because it seems like the Wii U had a little bit more functionality there.
Yeah, that's the thing that the Wii U actually did okay at. I guess it's a one-off gimmick, but
the problem of doing that though on the Switch is supposedly top-end 6-hour battery life. If you're then splitting that across 2 separate displays, having to process something twice, you're going to get half of the battery of that thing. So it wouldn't even work out. You would get like an hour of playtime.
Yeah.
Plus, and then in addition to the Virtual Console, Nintendo's online is really bad. Are we going to have a situation where we actually have accounts where our purchases transfer between them? Or is it going to be like the Wii U where if the console dies, you lose everything?
Plus, on top of that, the actual online functionality is also pretty bad as well. Sure, it's free because they don't have dedicated servers, but...
It's not free.
No. During the time of the Wii U. During the time of the Wii U.
No, but for the Switch, you have to pay for it.
It was free. Granted, it was not very good. I mean, Nick and I tried playing Bayonetta 2, and look where that went. But
it's going to be really hard for Nintendo to get people to pay up a subscription service. That PC is free, and then it's got pirates. It's free, but it's not monetized as well. And so you have a paid subscription model from Xbox Live, which is probably the best service. It's been the same price forever. Sony's now overcharging, and you have them kind of split in the middle. It's going to be really hard for Nintendo to enter that space. It's so competitive right now, and the fact that Microsoft has been getting away with a paid subscription model since 2001, and I say getting away, they had an idea for a really good system. They implemented it. They stuck with their gut, and people have responded well to it. So when I say get away with it, I don't mean like they tricked anybody. I just say that they created a model where people want to pay and people don't mind paying. And so that's going to be a hard space for Nintendo to enter, I think. For online subscription, that's going to be a tough one to swallow.
And
I don't know.
And as well as plus, what if you're just like an 8-year-old boy who just wants to play like Pokemon and Wonder Trade like random wild Pokemon, so you get this one cool shiny that people
you're gonna have to go into ad hoc mode where it's like 3DS again. You're gonna have to bring your Switch, and 8 of you are gonna have to battle it out or whatever, or trade or do Wonder Trade among you or whatever, a mystery gift. But the ad hoc, I think, is a little bit more appealing for the Switch because it is a portable unit. So I think the ad hoc stuff sounds a little bit more appealing. So wait and see.
Also, how do you feel about like that one retro video game rental per month issue? Do you think it's a good incentive? Do you think it's a terrible incentive? Because personally, I think it's like one of the worst incentives. It's probably
you can emulate those games so easily.
You can emulate those
it's not
games
worth
easily
it.
And like
you're talking about the Virtual Console, NES, and Super.
Yeah, and at the same time, like okay, they're gonna have to step it up somehow. Like for example. I don't know, upgrade it to like N64 games and up, or like GameCube as well?
I mean, here's the thing. Xbox One is doing 4 games free a month. You don't even have to own a 360. On PlayStation, you get 6 free games a month. And that's it. You have to own 3 platforms to get that. You have to own Vita, PS3, and PS4 to do that. But the value's there. And so Nintendo has to bring value to their online subscription service. They can't just say it's pay to play.
Unless it's really cheap.
Even then, you have to get something else.
$5 a year.
It's going to be it's going to be $3.99 a year minimum, or a month minimum, and it's going to be like $39 for the year minimum, and that's if it's not more than that. So be prepared for another business model it's probably not going to work.
Plus, Nintendo doesn't get online multiplayer. Like, think about out of all the games Nintendo has ever released, how many are suitable for online multiplayer?
Smash Brothers, 1.
There's a handful. There's a handful of them, and there's a market for it. But
2.
I mean,
Pokemon, 3.
That's not like their specialty. They're more about in-person multiplayer if there's multiplayer.
And that's what I said. I mean, the ad hoc wireless communication between systems, I think that's way more appealing for Switch. So I don't think this is even a huge issue, but it's going to be hard to compete with the other 2 consoles right now. So I don't think they're going to win in that space. In that respect, the online, no, they're not going to win that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they don't really care either. Like, I don't think they...
Nah.
They're kind of like, whatever, it's there. It's a thing.
Okay, now...
We'll support it for a year and then discontinue it.
I think we've treaded along this topic for a bit long, so let's just talk about...
I have a topic.
Okay.
Alright. So, when you think of Nintendo, you think of, like, kiddie games, right?
To the point... No, I think of this
for the most... No, for the first...
Depending on which Nintendo you're talking about, yes, sure.
Like, no, just like Nintendo's image in general. You think of, like...
Yes, you think of kiddie games. Like, you think of the Mario...
It's aimed towards younger children, right?
Yeah.
From what I've noticed in real life, more and more kids play on just tablets, and they play more and more quote-unquote adult games. Like more violent games
like
and
Call
more
of
darker
Duty,
games.
Assassin's Creed.
So Nintendo is sort of losing their own market because kids don't play those types of games anymore as much as they used to.
Yes.
But
let me ask you this. How many kids play Pokemon?
But like,
how many kids play
game
Yokai Watch?
One game to sell a console though? Like,
yes.
One game? Let me tell you something. There are very few games on most consoles that are system sellers. Pokemon is one of them. So you put Pokemon and a Mario Kart game on a console, it's probably going to do really well. Nintendo can sell software. We've seen it time and time again. Pokemon Sun and Moon ships 10 million copies day one. It sells out. They have to ship more.
I mean, this guy... Okay. Dave
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Dave predicted Pokemon Sun and Moon to bomb. Did it bomb?
Who predicted?
You did. You thought it was gonna bomb. Like.
Oh yeah, I thought. Here's the thing. I had no interest in it. Whatsoever. It doesn't appeal to me, because I know what kind of direction they were going for. But this was the year of Pokemon. Once again, this was the year of Pokemon. Pokemon Go came out. You had the remakes come out last year, and everyone was so excited to get their hands on a new Pokemon game because I think with that remake in between, people were ready for something new, and people didn't like the X and Y generation as much. Even though that was a very appealing product. Like, it's hard not to get excited.
Pokemon in 3D, like...
Pokemon in 3D was a hard concept to wrap your... Like, it was a hard thing to not be anticipating. It's a very intriguing thing. So, I think that was a cool thing, but this was the year of Pokemon. I mean, cards have never been... Sales on cards they reprinted the base set this year. It's just been the year of Pokemon. Now, me personally, I still don't want to play Sun and Moon. I have no interest whatsoever in playing it.
You should eventually play it though, just to see what the
I probably will, and I'll own it for my set. But I have no interest. Like, it doesn't appeal to me because I know the direction they were taking with it. I'm one of those people that like read up on everything that before the game comes out, and I immediately didn't like the direction that they were taking it. So for me, it didn't work out. And I thought that that new direction was going to be enough for some people to not like it. But they didn't. They didn't. They loved it.
They loved it. They ate it up like candy.
But this is one of those things too where we can only reflect really well in hindsight. So in a year from now, or 2 years from now, when a new Pokemon game comes out, people might be like, "Wow, that Sun and Moon game. It actually wasn't. It wasn't even that good. Like I don't really,
Like
they,
Final
it could end
Fantasy
up.
15.
It could end up being one of those things where everyone's saying it's really good, everyone's really hyped about it, everyone's really excited about it, but when they look at it in hindsight, they're like, you know what, that wasn't the best one in the series, or you know what, I actually didn't like it as much as I thought I did. That could be. That's an initial thing that happens. But did it sell? Yeah, it sold.
It sold. As long as it sold, then
It sold, and it sold systems, and that was crazy to see. That I thought everyone loved. If you were going to get on board with a 3DS, you would have gotten on. At least my train of thought is, if you were going to get on board with a 3DS ever, you were going to get on board with a 3DS when Pokemon made the transition between 2D and 3D. That was the most exciting time to get a 3DS. That was the number one time, and so many people you should have seen. I was working at the other store when X and Y were coming out. People were losing their minds trying to find a 3DS at that time too, because everyone was like, "Oh my god, the new Pokemon game's coming out and it's in 3D and it's so exciting." So yeah, I mean, I thought everyone already had it, but I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I was wrong.
So
Okay.
next topic. Nick. Okay,
Yo.
so Nick says that this system is going to be the Wii U 2.0. And now, what he means by that is that this is going to be another Wii U, and the Wii U, as much as I freaking love the system, I mean, like, you got games like, I mean, if you could find one, then go ahead and buy one. You got games like Smash Brothers for Wii U, Mario Kart 8, personally, my favorite video game of all time, Bayonetta 2. Despite it having such a good library of games, it ultimately flopped. Now, is this going to be the Wii U 2.0? Looking onward to the future.
Well, Nick says yes, right?
Nick,
Yeah,
okay, Nick says yes.
I think looking at right now, as the information we have now, it's going to have a very weak launch. In addition to having a very weak first year, as to the information we have. Not to mention, even if you look at Nintendo's stock, it has gone down.
Just to clarify, you mean weak launch in terms of the first year, not the first day. First day, it's definitely going to sell out.
Yeah, no, I mean weak launch, as in you get like one real game and two like demo games, and that's it. That has to hold you over for how many months?
The real game is actually optimized on a different platform.
It's for the Wii U.
Well.
That's sad, and not only is that sad, the price point is higher, and the game was already. I mean, you can say whatever you want. The game was finished in November. I don't care what anyone says. The game was finished in November. The reason for the delay was for the slight optimization on Switch and moving it over and making sure it runs good and everything in beta testing. The game was finished in November, and the fact that they didn't release it, it really sucks. And they did the same thing with the Wii, and it really sucked too. I mean, it could have been worse. They could have said, you know what, we're going to cancel the Wii U Zelda and just bring it out on Switch and sell you a $500 console. They didn't do that, but this feels pretty bad too. I mean, this feels like
it's atrocious.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good. It doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit
honestly, sorry, let me check something.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild on the Wii U comes out the end of this year. So the Switch version comes out in 2 months. The other version comes out in 12 months.
No,
the end of this year? Are
March
you?
3rd.
The Wii U version comes out on the 31st of January 2017 as of EB Games website.
That's this month.
That's this month.
Oh, I'm stupid.
Well, clearly, okay.
I think that game. I think it's coming out simultaneously. So just to clarify too, when you read some of those release dates, when you read any month, 31st of the month, it's not a Tuesday or a Friday, and those are the only two days that games get released on. And what that means essentially is first quarter. And first quarter is anywhere between January 1st and March 31st. And you'll see a lot of games have that 31st written on it with the date, especially on Amazon. And so what that just means is fourth quarter. And you'll see a lot of games too nearing the end of the year. It'll say December 31st, 2017. And all that means is they don't know when it's coming out. It could be anywhere between October to December, fourth quarter. So that's what it means. I think the Breath of the Wild's coming out together with the Switch version. It should be March 3rd. I could be wrong, but as of right now, that's what I've seen.
So a question then.
You can check Amazon pre-orders. I don't know.
Okay.
So I have a question. Okay. So if the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild comes out the same time as the Switch version, right?
Right.
Then people will
most hardcore Nintendo fans are going to have a Wii U. So isn't that undermining one of the driving reasons to buy a Switch when it comes out?
Now, keep in
If
mind.
Look at the Wii.
Let me
Look at the Wii.
Let me just tell you something, Nick. You're talking about hardcore Nintendo fans here. They would buy the Switch version and the Wii U version, and they're also going to buy a Switch as well. That is what a hardcore Nintendo gamer is. You're going to have to be a bit more... Like, if you're talking about the general consensus, like, I mean, yeah, you're going to go for... On average, if you're a Wii U owner, and you're not that hardcore into Nintendo, say for if you're a Nick... if you're a Nick, you're definitely going to go for the Wii U version. You're not going to buy a Switch.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing you're not considering. How many Nintendo fans are there? The GameCube sold 30 million approximately. There's only 13 million Wii U's. So the Nintendo fans didn't buy the Wii U.
True.
I think that's the other thing, the other flip side of the coin. Now, is there 10 million dedicated true Nintendo fans?
Yes.
Or is there 30 million? You know what I mean? So we don't really know the number. Me personally, I'm getting the Wii U version. I don't care for the Switch version.
For me personally, if I could get a hand on a Switch, I'll get a Switch. I won't go out of my way to pre-order one, but I might go out of my way to wake up early.
They're asking you to pay with tax in Canada $540 with tax for a Switch and Breath of the Wild. I think that's asking a little much, especially considering the Switch version apparently is going to be $79 in Canada and $69 on Wii U. So it's even going to be cheaper to buy it on Wii U. I did the math as well. You can buy a used Wii U console and the Breath of the Wild for Wii U for around $320. So versus the $540 Switch upgrade,
quote unquote.
I don't think it makes any sense. It's another $200 for the same thing. So, and slight optimization.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, we released Twilight Princess with GameCube.
With the GameCube.
Right. The biggest sad thing, the saddest thing about the whole Wii U is that they didn't get their own Zelda game. This is the first Nintendo console that didn't get their own Zelda game.
Aside from Hyrule Warriors.
Okay, Hyrule Warriors, that is not.
Yeah, I know.
That's like saying.
But they didn't get their.
This game is a Fire
core
Emblem
game,
man.
They didn't get their core game.
Yeah, they didn't get their one game that they could say, "Hey, you want to play that Zelda? You have to own that machine." The other ones were remasters. We had Wind Waker HD, we had Twilight Princess HD, and now we have Breath of the Wild, which would have been a Wii U dedicated game, but now it's coming to Switch. So they didn't. It was the first Nintendo console not to get their own Zelda game. That was kind of sad about moving over to Switch. Now, whether or not you care about the Wii U, different story. But I think it's a good machine, and it just didn't sell well. So, will it be Wii U 2.0? That's a bold statement, man. You're saying that less than 13 million people are going to buy the Switch again, too.
Well,
that's going to be. I think it's going to be more. I think we're going to have a little bit more. You have to remember something. China just opened up too, so China opening up to the console market. I think the Switch is going to do a lot better than people anticipate. The problem is, the better question is when. What year is the Switch going to be doing really good? I'll tell you this though: the Wii U had a better launch lineup.
Yes,
a much better launch lineup. So something to consider.
I think though another point is, especially with the Wii, Nintendo has been considered like the cheaper console that the whole family can play on, sort of idea. But the Switch is a pretty expensive console to get more than one person to play on.
That's an excellent point. I mean, they're going to be asking $399 as the quote unquote 8th generation of console gaming. Is it the 8th?
I'm not sure.
I think it's the 8th. I think this was the 7th. think this was the
general
seventh gen.
Nintendo
But
console gaming,
Super.
or
Let me see
just
here.
the 8 general 8.
NES, SNES, and 64,
Cube,
GameCube, Wii U is 7th.
Yeah,
This is
so
8.
this
This
is
is
the
8.
so they're the Wii U is the 7th generation. So we're on the 8th generation of gaming now. You know, quote unquote. You
We're
could
not
say
including
it's
like the ones before then.
we're not
yes.
including pre Nintendo, but I'm just saying I'm not pre NES rather. But what I am saying is they're asking $399.
Plus an additional $80 for controllers, which you're going to need for if you have more than
Sorry,
one
I
kid.
think it's in Canada it's 100 for those 2 controllers, and
Oh
from
god,
what I hear, those 2 controllers don't snap onto the sides.
they don't.
Really?
No, they don't. So that means that if you break the controllers it comes with, you can't replace them.
So it's like the Wii U tablet.
Yeah, exactly. But probably which is really annoying, really frustrating.
Okay. So you're gonna pay $400 for the console,
Yes.
Yeah.
$80 for Breath of the Wild, another $80 for 1-2 Snap, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
another
Switch, 1-2 Switch.
100. Yeah, 1-2 Switch. Sorry, another $100 for extra controllers to actually play 1-2 Snap with someone else.
Yeah.
You're like $600 in the hole
They're asking,
just to get started on the Wii U.
and
I mean
that's
the
thing,
Switch. Sorry.
if you remember with 3DS, they asked, I think $299 was the original price for 3DS. They actually dropped it within the first 3 months. They had to drop it, and they, as an apology, they gave the early adopters free virtual console games.
I was one of them.
But
Yeah.
Nintendo shouldn't be repeating that again.
The
'Cause,
thing
like,
is,
not even the new
thing is,
Xbox or PS4 cost that much.
it's crazy because you cannot, in my personal opinion, you can't ask the 8th generation of consoles to be $399 if it's not more powerful than the
Than the
previous
last
generation.
one.
If it's not more powerful than it, you cannot justify that price point. And Nintendo you're absolutely right, has always had a better price. GameCube was actually $299 in Canada,
Yes.
which was really nice, and the Wii was also $299 in Canada, and it came with a game. Let's not forget,
Yeah.
everybody. It came with a game. The fact that 1-2 Switch is not coming and bundled with this machine is very concerning for Nintendo. I think they're going to bundle it up right away with something and drop that
Probably.
price. I
Out
think
of
that price
curiosity,
is
what
gonna
game
drop.
did the GameCube come out? Which game did it come out with?
The GameCube.
Um,
Oh, we lost them.
Sorry, I'm just getting a call.
Yeah.
The GameCube. Can you still see me?
yeah.
No, we have your icon.
Oh, okay.
Just keep talking while you try to.
Yeah,
fix it.
the GameCube didn't come with the game, but it had a few good games during launch.
True. Not okay.
Okay.
I have a side point here though.
Okay.
Even though this isn't related to console, for $800, you can get a GTX 1080 for PC.
Okay.
Okay, and that will last you way longer than the Switch will. And I know, yes, it's separate from console, but still, that for that amount of money, you can get an infinitely better gaming experience than you will on the Switch, and a much more longer lasting one.
Okay. Let's just take a second, have a little thought about what the Switch's intended purpose is. So the intended purpose of the Switch is pretty much what the Wii U intended to be, or what we thought it would do, as well as what the Vita tried to do but failed. I'm not so sure what the hell the Vita tried to do, but so it's pretty much playing console games while being on the go. That is its entire purpose, right?
Yes, but honestly, if you ask me, that's not something you need. Like, I don't know. I think there's so many other options. Plus, like I said, going back to what I've seen, little kids don't care about those games as much as they used to. So it's
Okay,
not
well,
really
Pokemon, but sure.
okay. Pokemon, but the Pokemon's not a console game. Though. That's a handheld game. We're talking
Well,
about we're talking console games on the go.
Okay.
That's, as far as I can see, that's not something that people want outside of like people our age. And we're not their core demographic that they're targeting this console
Okay,
towards.
now we are actually the core demographic. Quote
No,
unquote.
Nintendo always points towards younger aged kids. It's always been like that, and still is. And they're not targeting them realistically. Like, what do they have to offer right now that a little kid would want? Like, Honestly, what do they have?
That's what I'm saying, which is why we're the target audience for this system.
But we're not meant to be the target audience.
Well, in this case, for the Switch, it looks like we're intended to be the
We,
target
we
audience.
also we also have to remember something, that while console gaming is on the rise in the Americas and Europe and South America,
Yeah.
it's on a decline in Japan and Asia. But Japan and Asia,
Like
handheld gaming is huge. So
That's why the Vita did better in Japan because
Right.
it's a better handheld.
right, but see, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, they both did.
You're very much looking at the North American side of
Oh,
what
yeah.
do kids want. Whereas
This is true.
Okay,
Whereas
yeah.
this is we keep forgetting this is a Japanese company making a Japanese product for Japanese people. So I think that kids in Japan will care about it. I think a little bit more. And in Japan, it's adults playing this stuff anyway. So it's a really weird.
Okay, true.
It's a really weird sort of market. But to answer your question, it doesn't really offer anything that nothing else offers that your iPad can't do, really. Truly, except for what it's always done, which is those very well-made Nintendo first-party games. And that's
True.
always what it'll have. And so
But-
the better question is, are those games enough in this new generation? Have we already seen too many Mario Karts? Have we seen too many Smash Brothers? Have we seen too many Pokemon games? Have we seen
Fire
too many Zelda
Emblems
games?
are being
You know-
slightly
Well,
oversaturated.
I'm gonna say they should not make a 2D Mario game for the Switch. Like they rely on that way too much for all of their consoles.
They do
or at
now.
least not label it
They
as
do
New
now,
Super
but
Mario Brothers.
Mario 60 on N64, we didn't get
we
our
didn't get a
side scroller.
2D Mario game.
and
I know,
GameCube,
but-
we didn't get it. Didn't get it either. But
Yeah, but the Wii
Now I
and the
think
Wii U
more
pumped
reliant.
out so many.
No, they only
Side-scrolling
pumped out
2Ds.
one. The Wii
mean,
and the Wii U
combined.
pumped out one.
No, you got new Super Mario Bros. New.
Fine,
Then
3.
you have Super Mario Bros. You have the Luigi version of it,
That's it.
and they're all the same game. Why would we need more?
Oh, plus Mario Maker, that's 4.
Yeah, Mario Maker's like the ultimate one. You would never need another one after that. Because they're all the same game, it's just level design's different, but the mechanics are always the same. So, like, what's the point?
I mean,
You're not wrong.
you're not wrong. But you know, the
People
point is that
still
some people
love-
still play it. Some people love it.
People.
I know, but even with Mario Maker now, there's no need for another Nintendo 2D Mario. When you can just get one game and technically have every Mario game that'll ever be made.
Well, we could also argue that Nintendo's the best at level design.
That's true.
We could debate that Nintendo has really good level design, and it's interesting to see what they. Here's the
Plus
thing.
artistic
Here,
views in
let
their,
me ask. So
games.
back on that point.
Okay.
Back on that point. You're saying we don't need another Mario game. By that argument, we never needed a new console anyway. That we never needed an NES Classic with 30 games preloaded either. But look at the price of that on eBay. I mean, you could emulate those games and do the exact same thing with a USB controller, with an NES one. You could actually take a USB controller and put the original NES controller shell over top of the USB controller for NES. You could make that experience happen on your TV. You could do it. It's possible. But yet, people want to buy this NES Classic with 30 games preloaded on it. It blows my mind. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But it's a thing. And it's selling, and it's crazy, and you know why do people care? But they do.
Okay.
We could have emulated all of them and have them on the TV
Yeah.
too, right? But
Plus,
Yeah.
Virtual Console exists.
the same thing goes. Like, oh,
And
why would
the
I buy
actual
all these?
system.
Why would I go to your store and buy all those old Super Nintendo games like Earthbound when I can download them for free online? It's
Because
I
you
don't
get
know,
an
I
actual
feel like
physical
that's a
copy
bit
of Earthbound
different,
and you get
though,
to
because-
brag about it to your
because
friends.
the
Because those
point-
are considered collector's items as
They
well.
are
They're not
considered-
just games.
They are considered collector's items, but I think some people at the end of the day just like knowing that the official company made it, the official company cart is there, and they have it with their official. Like, I have Retron 3s in the store, but people still buy Super Nintendos for twice the price. And the Retron 3 plays 3 systems.
Mhm.
Yes.
NES, Super, Genesis, but people don't care. It's $60. No one cares. Everyone wants original Super Nintendo on their TV, and
and how much is
it's
it,
one of those
Dave?
things where why, but they do.
How much is a Super
Okay.
Nintendo's? Are you selling Super Nintendos for?
Base units around 89.
Well, if you want a Super Nintendo, ladies and gentlemen, you know where to go.
Yeah,
eBay.
but you see what I'm saying? Like 89 versus the $60, you get the 3-in-1. You're paying $20 a console as opposed to 90 for one, and yet people want to know that Nintendo made this. Nintendo's controller, it plays like how I did when I was a kid, and that's how it is. So,
Fond memories of my old
I guess.
days.
like, my question to you is,
Mhm.
why are you using the old controller? They're garbage compared to the newer controllers we have. This controller right here is the greatest controller ever made. Xbox One Elite. This is a $200 controller. This is the best controller ever made. I mean,
I can
you've got the
confirm,
swappable parts on this thing. I mean, this thing is made to last. This is all magnetic. This is all interchangeable. Every button can be mapped on this controller. I can change the button configuration for any game. It has 2 settings. It's got everything you need.
Also
Everything
works
you
for
could
PC
possibly
as
need.
well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
can use it
Microsoft.
wirelessly with PC, and I can plug it in directly, and Windows is going to detect it automatically.
Yeah, I can confirm. I tried my cousin's out when he was not actually.
It's got a headphone jack in it. It's got everything you could possibly need in a controller, and yet people still want to play with a wired 4-foot cord controller.
Okay, I think you got me there.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But okay, so will this console? Okay, so Dave, you said you see before privately. You said this console will be successful in 2019. Do you
2019 or
2019.
2020
or
2019 or 2020. Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
see it coming? Okay? Clearly, we all 3 of us all agree that it won't be successful this year. It'll sell under expectations that Nintendo.
It will sell, but like
No, it will
I
sell
don't think
under
it'll do well.
expectations Nintendo predicted.
Here's the thing, man. Wii U had a better launch, and people were trading those things 3 weeks into the life cycle. That's all you got to. That's all you got to know.
I got into the
Because
Wii U late. I got into the Wii U like
the Wii U launch. The Wii U launch didn't have much, but what they did give you was Nintendo Land, which was a free $60 game bundled in with the system
okay.
on the deluxe model. You also had Zombie U, which was kind of cool because it was a tech demo game. It was showcasing what the tablet could do.
And it was actually kind of fun.
Depending on who you talk to, whether it's good or not is subjective.
Yeah, no.
But,
I enjoyed it.
But I can tell you that it was an interesting and intriguing piece of software for the machine, and it was something that was
It
kind of like
needed to exist.
maybe I'll check it out.
It needed
Maybe I'll
to
check-
exist.
Right.
The
And
next
then we had a Mario game.
New Super
so-
Mario Brothers.
Right. So right there, and this was a new Mario game. This wasn't like
yeah.
2.0 or whatever. This wasn't Mario Kart Deluxe again, okay? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This was new Mario game, a side scroller, and that was exciting because the Wii's generation was a long generation, and we hadn't had a Mario game in a little bit. So 2012, coming out at the end of 2012 with that stuff, it had stuff, but people were beating the Mario game, not checking out the other ones, didn't care about Nintendo Land, and then trading it in 3 weeks later and going, there's nothing on this platform.
Plus,
And me as a store clerk going, wow, you bought this system and you didn't know what was coming out. I think that the same thing's going to happen. That people are going to jump out because it's new, but that's not a reason to get it, and they're going to find out. But they're only going to find out like 2 weeks later after they beat Zelda.
okay.
Also, sorry, man. Another problem I think there was with the Wii U. Most people, when they buy games, they go to like EB Games or Walmart, right? There weren't that many Wii U games to pick from at those stores. Like unless you pre-ordered it, chances are you're never going to see anything new.
That was a marketing thing, though. That's a
Yeah.
marketing Nintendo thing. You actually, believe it or not, I think in Walmart you actually have to pay for your section. So
Yeah.
if you want to dominate 4 showcases of Walmart, you got to pay for that. And so Sony and Microsoft are willing to do it because they know
Nintendo's
that Walmart's gonna sell a lot of their stuff. And Nintendo
Nintendo's
got
not.
stingy, man. I think Nintendo got stingy with their marketing campaigns. So
I mean,
I
let's
think that
be
was a
real.
marketing thing.
The
I think
only
that was a
thing-
marketing thing.
The thing that really did sell out in Walmart in general, or NES Classics, as well as Amiibo's pre-Wave 4 for Smash
Absolutely.
Brothers. That
Absolutely.
the Amiibo thing was just insane.
Well,
like,
the Amiibos were like Beanie Babies, man.
Okay, well, to be fair, I don't think Amiibos are at the same category as Beanie Babies. I could see the familiarity, but people still want a cool figure. That's the difference. People want a cool figure of their favorite character from a Nintendo franchise that they fondly love. Like, oh, I want this Mario. I remember Mario back in the day. I want a Mario. Oh, I love Pikachu. I want a Pikachu. Oh, I like Link. Oh, look, Ryu from Street Fighter.
What's nice about it too that a lot of people forget is you might get into those franchises later on too. You might get into those franchises 10 years from now and go, "Wow, I really like this." And
Lucas,
maybe
where is he from?
Yeah.
He's not from Smash Bros.
So we have another topic to go through. What's our next one on the list there?
We're talking about the future of Nintendo, and like, okay, so hypothetically, if this does turn into the Wii U 2.0, what's going to be the future of Nintendo?
Nothing. They have so much money. It won't matter. Like, realistically, it won't matter.
I'm glad I'm talking to you guys that understand that. I mean, during Wii era, they banked so much money in the bank. I think it was something like $60 billion or something crazy like that. Yeah. 40 or 50 or $60 billion. It was something crazy.
US.
I don't know. Yeah, US dollars. And so they can make another 4 or 5 failures. It won't really matter to them. And, you know, the weird thing about Nintendo is, like I said, you know, they took their chance with 3DS. People were like, it's basically a DS. I don't really care. 5 years later, 6 years later, people really care. I'm myself going for full set 3DS XL, every variant. I love the way they design these machines. I love the collectability of it. I love the characters. I love the fact that they're themed really nicely. I love it. And they never did this before. And so they'll surprise you. They can be a company where, oh my God, they're down in the dirt, and then Amiibo makes $200 million in 3 months.
Oh, because of like a simple, cool idea. Oh, let's buy a character Amiibo of like my favorite Nintendo character.
And that's the thing. Like, they're the only company that can do these weird, quirky things, and maybe it works out for them in a big way. When it fails, it barely fails, and when it's successful, it's wildly successful. So, you know.
Nintendo is like a cockroach. It won't be wiped out. Nothing can wipe out Nintendo. They're like the longest lasting console video/real game company there is.
By the way, they were a card company when they started, and they're over 100 years old. They're 100 years old, that company. So that company definitely restructuring this year, but man, they can longevity. Sell. They have some longevity, and I don't think they're dead. Is the better question is the future of Nintendo in third-party publishing? Is it going to come to Xbox? Is Mario going to come to PlayStation? That's the bigger question. You know, for the sake of just being who I am, I pray no, because I hate that Sega has gone. I just hate it. I hate that they're squirming around. I mean, me and you guys didn't see
Sega's
this, but
lost at this point. Honestly,
I'll tell you. We just ordered this one piece for the store. It was 80 games in one for $80 with the Sega Genesis.
By the way, Nick, hold on. Nick, you're out. Your webcam's out. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, I know someone walked in.
Okay.
So Genesis had this iteration, this mini console that represented a Genesis 3. It's unlike the NES Mini. You could actually put Genesis carts into it.
Yeah, I got you put carts.
Not one, 2 controllers, 80 games for $80. Okay, now that thing should have been selling like hotcakes because it's so much better than Nintendo Switch or the NES Classic. But the NES Classic somehow still outsells it, and it's like there's not those 30 games. Yeah, there's Mario on it, but they're not all amazing, where these Sega Genesis games were really good. You had the Phantasy Star games on there. Vector Man was on there. Comic Zone was on there. Some of the better franchises, the Sonic and Hedgehog games were on there. And so this thing should have been selling like hotcakes. We sold 2 of them, and everyone that saw it that liked Sega was like, wow, that's a really good value. I want to pick that up. But it's sad that they have to do that in order to sell. You know, it's so sad that they have to give you 80 games to sell. I don't like it. So I hope for Nintendo's sake it doesn't go third party, because I don't like when people are all about one company in gaming and very narrow-minded. I like the people that are like, hey, I play on PC. Hey, I play on 3DS. Hey, I play on Vita. Hey, I play on Wii U. I play on this. I like
no, you say, oh, I just like playing on all these consoles like I am.
If you like games,
then
why
you play on all the consoles.
Yeah, if you like games,
why pick one?
What's that?
Like, why
I
pick
said,
one?
why should you pick one
Why?
specific?
And there's the thing.
Specific
If you like games, why do you have to pick one? And why are you so close-minded when it comes to, I hear so many times where, you know what, I only like Nintendo, or I only like the Nintendo games. There's some charm to it. It's like, dude, you haven't played anything else, or I only play on Sony,
I mean, to
or
give you an
only play on
analogy.
Xbox.
Or
It doesn't.
PC Master Race.
Okay,
Or
There you go.
PC, you know.
to
Like,
give you somewhat of an analogy, it's kind of like saying, oh, I know everything about this. Like, okay, say that you've lived in your hometown city for like all your life or majority of your lifetime, okay? And then you say, oh, I know everything about this city, and like I could tell you that this is the greatest city in the world. 100%. Like, you'll love it. You'll and
You'll
you
love
think you're
it
an
as much as
expert.
me.
You think you're an expert on it, right? Okay. Now, the first time the benefits of traveling is kind of like saying, because you get to get exposure to different cultures. Like, you travel to different places, you get exposed to different cultures, and then you see why people there do things the way they think, that the way they do it, and you might think, oh, that is actually very interesting. And you get to get exposed to all these new cultures, new people, new ideas, new food. You just know a lot more as a human being just for traveling. So the thing I'm gonna say about gaming in general is that if you just play on one system, you don't know. You're just pretty much living your life in that one city. You may think you know everything about that city, but in reality you don't, because you don't know anything else. Like, for example, I'm a Nintendo. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm a Nintendo fan. I only play on the Wii U. I just like the Wii U is the only system I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play on the Wii U. Now, if I now I used to be that way, by the way. But then I bought like a bunch of. Then I went to Dave's store, and then eventually I took steps forward to like say, you know what, maybe I should give some of the old classic Nintendo systems, like Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo, the GameCube. What else did I buy over there? I'm looking at it right now.
Well, you bought a
Oh,
PS1?
Nintendo Entertainment System.
PS1.
I'm gonna get to there later. So I
You bought a
tried it on
PS1,
the
you bought
retro
a
Nintendo.
you bought a PS1, you bought a Vita, and you bought a 360
Yes.
recently as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, where can you get all those, Dave?
Game experts in Canada.
There you go.
5150 Dixie Road. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah,
Um,
So I just went on like a little rampage in terms of like video games. And then
but how do you feel now that you've
now that I played a lot of these games, like currently, holy shit, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite Final Fantasy now. They're like a lot better games. Like, I would not have given a chance to Final Fantasy X-7. I would not have given a chance to what other games? The Catherine. I would not. I probably never had given a chance to Catherine. Catherine, I thoroughly enjoyed. What other games did I also thoroughly like? Let's see here. Man, like I just feel like I know a lot more.
Any game that I made you buy?
Huh?
Oh.
You
Huh.
cut. You what did you say? Repeat that.
Oh, I said any game that I've made you buy.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Final Fantasy
Katamari. Katamari. I'm enjoying.
Katamari.
Though that's a game. I think
we
that's-
just sold that. We just sold another copy of that today. We had another one and coming in on
Nice.
PS2. It just sold it. Yeah.
Katamari.
You still have the Shin Megami Tensei?
The point you're trying to make, of course, is that you can't stay in your bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, to answer your question, what game that you forced me to buy that I thoroughly enjoyed? I told you, Final Fantasy X. It's like my second favorite Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
As
Seven's
long as
my
it's not
favorite.
15, I'm happy.
Okay, well, 15. In hindsight, 15 might not be considered a Final Fantasy game because of the current trend. That's a topic for another day. But
Yeah.
just saying, you don't have to be you don't have to be so closed-minded. Like everybody jokes about, oh, PC master race. Like, okay, to be fair, the PC does have like such a large variety, but
Look,
come
man,
on.
those people don't joke. They mean it.
I know they mean it, but
They're not joking.
Those people mean it.
I agree
Those
with
people,
that. I actually agree with that.
to be
those
fair,
people swear by those words.
I will. Okay, I will be honest. Like the PC does actually have a really good arrangement. Like they have an extremely wide arrangement of games. But come on, man, take a chance on a few others.
Problem with PC is it's all digital. That's the thing I don't like about it.
That's the thing.
Which is good and not so good, depending on who you talk to.
I mean, come on, there's some good Nintendo titles out there. You're never gonna get You're never gonna get Nintendo on a PC, but then again, they're gonna say, "Who needs Nintendo?" But
so that was answer. Sorry to get off topic again.
Yeah.
That was kind of answering like, where do you see Nintendo? And so, I see Nintendo still doing Nintendo things. That's to answer that question. I still see them doing Nintendo things. I hope they don't go third party. Is it a possibility? Of course it is. We're not going to rule that out, but I think they have enough money in the bank to not do that, and I hope to see in my lifetime that doesn't happen, at least.
I think an important thing is, though, they're actually making it... They seem to be supporting more third parties on their console this time around, which I think is a very good thing for them to do. Now, if you look at like...
It's also good for localization of Japanese games that we might not get here, specifically because of region free.
Yeah.
That could be exciting.
Come on, 800 game library like the NES.
Oh my god.
Hey man, Xbox 360 1525.
That is yeah.
PS2 in Japan 4,900 plus.
Let's talk about that, boys.
Well, the Wii was mostly shovelware.
The Wii was mostly shovelware. Let's be real, but like we could laugh at that, to be honest.
Okay, what's our next topic there, Ben?
Yeah.
So, if they the last thing we're gonna talk about here is how should Nintendo actually react accordingly? Like, should they actually change? Do you think you actually agree with what Nintendo plans on doing? If they continue to do Nintendo things, do you think that you will agree with it? Do you think that they should continue doing Nintendo things?
Well, Nintendo has always done Nintendo things.
Yeah, but do you think it's a good thing?
They're still around, so... Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on what exactly it is they do.
I think the more important thing here to realize is that Nintendo needs to protect their brand at the end of the day, much like Disney does. And so Disney is so protective on their brand. And I think there was a time period where they were licensing a lot of weird like movies, like let's do Lion King 2, let's do, they were doing some weird stuff.
Sequels.
But yeah, they were doing a lot of like direct to video too. Like they were doing a lot of like animation stuff direct to video. And I think that Nintendo's made some missteps too, and Nintendo could easily get into that. But I think that the main thing is to protect their brand and to protect all their franchises, to protect all what they have built.
So protect Mario, protect Zelda, protect Metroid, protect a new one that protects...
It's too late for Mario and Zelda. The CDI happened.
Protect Bayonetta.
Protect Bayonetta, why not?
Protect Bayonetta. That's all that matters, to be honest. If you have Bayonetta, you're really good. You're set for life.
No. Bayonetta's not a console seller, Ben. I'm sorry.
It is okay. Well, I'll tell you.
You know what? I wish I lived in a world where it is a console seller, because I think that game is.
It actually should be.
I think that game, and I'm just talking based on reviews because I can't talk for myself, but I have played part 1, and I think that if Bayonetta 2 is as good as I think it is, I think it should sell consoles. I think I want to live in a world where that does sell consoles.
Okay.
But Bayonetta, sorry, Ben. But Bayonetta is also in the same category as F-Zero and Metroid.
And
it's
Xenoblade.
like a cult favorite,
actually,
so it will never see the light of day
ever.
ever.
Category of Xenoblade.
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say it's more Metroid F-Zero. It's more of lots of people like it, but Nintendo probably won't give it the light of day that it deserves.
I think at this point, Xenoblade actually got into the F-Zero Metroid category as well because of Smash Brothers.
But Xenoblade's getting a new game on the Switch.
Exactly, so it's getting that category.
No, I'm saying that like Metroid and F-Zero, they don't see releases that often.
Oh, you're talking about
Even
that.
though they should be seeing them, they don't see releases.
F
I feel like
F-Zero,
Bayonetta is that sort of thing.
F-Zero skipped 2 generations and 2 handhelds.
Yeah.
So that's not good. That's not good.
That's
Metroid went a different direction, unfortunately.
a direction.
Bad
It's kind of like seeing your child that you have raised so well go into a really dark path. It's like when I grow up, I won't do drugs. But then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's taking drugs. It's participating in gangs, doing murder, doing everything that you raised it not like you thought that it would never do, but it just ends up doing it anyways. That's that. Well, I wouldn't say that's Metroid, to be honest. I'll say that is like Call of Duty. No, Call of Duty is, like, there's too many of them.
Metroid is like Nintendo's personal rareware. They were once great games, but now they're not so much.
Okay, an argument can be okay. Like the last good Metroid game, arguably, is Prime 3.
That is the last best Metroid game.
Yeah, but people will argue because they don't
Other
like
M
the Prime.
sucks. Federation is bad.
Some people think Zero Mission.
Zero Mission.
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, okay.
Isn't Zero Mission though just the remake of the first one? Or am I thinking of something else?
But Fusion and Zero Mission were like the last ones that people really enjoyed, like because it was the 2D style, right?
People really like
2D.
Metroid, Mario into 3D worked really well. Zelda into 3D worked really well. Metroid didn't work so well, in my personal.
I guess so.
I enjoyed first person, so I'm fine with it. Anyways, so do you okay, back to the topic of should Nintendo actually react to as Nintendo? So you're saying what they should do is protect their brand, heavily.
I think that's what I was getting at. That they just need to protect their brand, and I think that should be like the most important thing they should focus on right now. Like just protect their brand.
Do you think that they should try to innovate new ideas at this point?
I think they always do, but no one gives them credit for it.
Yeah.
I think they always have tried, and as much as I love
listing examples of how they tried.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah.
Is that okay? A very good example of them trying to innovate is the Virtual Boy. They tried to make VR essentially before VR was even a thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
but no one gives Nintendo credit for it.
Yeah, because it failed, right? It didn't come over well.
Like I said, when it fails, like that could have very well worked for them, right? The person who greenlit that was like, in hindsight, it's easy to look at it and go, you idiot. But at the time, I'm sure someone was like, you know what, this is actually pretty cool. And they greenlit it. So I think they took a chance with that. It didn't work out for them. But I'll tell you another one. Nintendo DS. On paper, I thought Nintendo DS was absolutely terrible. Probably one of the worst ideas ever. I thought you couldn't look at both screens at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. This is not going to work. Battery life, etc., etc., etc. And it comes out and it's executed beautifully. And the best part, the magical part about that whole thing was that not only did Nintendo make their games utilize it very well, the third-party publishers understood it very well.
And people were like, "Oh, we could have the second screen doesn't have to be the main focus. It could be like, oh, a little menu system, like if you want to."
And it's a touch screen, and it's so beautifully designed. But before it comes out, and you read about it in a magazine, as we did back in my day. I sound old, but as we did, it sounded like the worst idea ever. It really did. It sounded like, I don't want this. And you play it and you actually try it, you're like, wow, this is actually executed really, really well. And the fact that the third parties were on board with it, and then not only on board with it, but they understood it right away, and they understood the benefits of having the dual screen feature, I think that was huge importance. I mean, they ended up selling over 100 million units on DS. And it was attributed to the fact that they were trying new things.
Okay, well, let's be real. The Wii just was a gimmick, not really real innovation.
But they tried.
They tried.
The thing is, here's the thing. Whether or not it's a gimmick or not, they're trying something. this new HD Rumble thing is a load of baloney right now. But then again, is it a DS? Am I just talking out of my mouth again? Like, am I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it doesn't work really well. But what do I know? I haven't played it, so I can't say for sure. So right now, it sounds like a bunch of baloney, but at least there's something new. At least we can say, hey, you know what? This is actually something new. The fact that it redistributes weight in a controller, I think that's an interesting concept. I would have never thought of doing anything like that. And so this is another example of Nintendo trying to innovate.
Things.
And
The biggest thing will be how easy they make it for developers to implement their innovations into their games.
So I mean,
If developers can't easily make use of it, it's all for nothing.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay, to be fair,
Like the Wii U, for example, any third-party developer was kind of forced into shoehorning the tablet into the game somehow, which is one of the reasons why there aren't that many third-party games for it.
Yeah.
That ended didn't sell well, but that's as well. Okay, but the Switch's gimmick is pretty much console gaming on the go, so I think it'll be a lot more simpler.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The biggest issue with the Wii U, the biggest hurdle that the Wii U had, was the fact that, you know, some games use the tablet and some games don't, and some games use multiple different things. You cannot be a developer and have to program a game with 7 different controllers. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. In fact, it was so crazy that the developers went back to Nintendo and said, can you just make a regular controller? Please, just make a regular Pro controller. And that's where that Pro controller came from. That was actually developers telling Nintendo, we don't want to make games on this tablet because we don't want to use this. We just want one controller. I don't think it's necessarily they didn't want to use the tablet, actually. It was just that they didn't want to program games on the tablet and then have it use the tablet and then also have to program the game on something else if the players wanted to. And so what we got games like Arkham City Remastered, which uses only the tablet, but then at the same time you get another game which has 8 different controllers, which is crazy. So I think that if you program the Switch in such a way where those controllers work, and then if it turns into a Pro controller, it works the same way. You don't have to reprogram it. And then if you unplug them, the only time you have to reprogram it is if you're doing 2-player mode, where you separate the two Switch controllers. So if you're doing 2-player mode, that's subjective to the game if it's 2-player. But if it's 1-player, it only is programmed one way, and that's going to be already one of those hurdles that is gone from the Wii U.
I think the biggest problem that's going to occur with 2-player on the Switch is when you take the Joy-Con controllers and actually separate them to 2 controllers, you're stuck with one analog stick and a microscopic D-pad. So you can't really translate a game that uses 2 thumbsticks to that control scheme easily or nicely.
Unless we can somehow use Pro controllers together. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
Okay,
Depends
so
on the game.
I think we got everything we need. Is there anything you want to add in this topic?
You want to talk about how other companies react?
If they keep doing Nintendo
I
games.
think.
Okay, sure. So how would other companies react if they keep doing Nintendo things?
No, the question was actually what we're going to talk about is the fact that every time that there's a new idea implemented into the industry, the other companies are reactive to it. For example, when the Wii U came out with the tablet, Sony came out with the Vita, the remote play, and Microsoft came out with Smart Glass. When Nintendo came out with the motion controls on Wii, Sony came out with PlayStation Move, Microsoft came out with Kinect.
Kinect.
Yeah, right. So if the Switch is successful, what happens with these other companies? What do they do to combat this?
Because I think so you're saying Nintendo behaves somewhat like a monkey see, monkey... Like, the companies kind of behave like monkey see, monkey do. Whatever Nintendo does is generally going to generate.
It's been like that, though. It's been like that.
Okay, Nick?
Especially as of late.
At least for Sony, don't think... Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen this time with Sony, at least, because the Vita is basically Sony's Switch in the end of the day, right? They already tried it, and it didn't work for them, so I don't think they're going to try it again.
I mean, the Vita at this point, for me, is just serving its purpose for... It's just basically a Final Fantasy VII console. That's all I'm using it for.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, Sony isn't going to retry it, because they did it already.
The only thing I could see that any of the companies doing is just releasing, like, you know, for Sony, there's so many PS1 games that can actually be played without a joystick even.
Yeah.
So to release them on like a tablet device or another touchscreen, if Sony releases their own tablet, right, and puts PS1 games in there, I mean that could work really well. Or somehow have Bluetooth hooked up with PS4 controller or PS3 controller. I think that would be pretty cool. But I guess PlayStation Now is kind of doing that already. The problem is the subscription service kills you. I think the subscription services are just
Terrible.
not the greatest.
No.
So the better question is probably, is Microsoft and Sony ever going to make a tablet with their controller attachment to it? Are they going to do that?
No.
I think Microsoft has done that to an extent, because I believe on Windows 10 you can play Xbox One games.
Yeah.
So technically any laptop could play Xbox One games. So they sort of have
Can
that.
a Surface play Windows 10 games?
Yeah, Surface could play Xbox One games.
Okay. So yeah, they've already done it.
Yeah, but not to the same extent, obviously. But yeah,
Better battery life.
better battery life. Yeah.
Better battery life.
Although I don't think it runs as well as it does on the Xbox. So.
Well, maybe we should say, like, what does Nintendo do after this? Like, what's their step after this?
Like their next console?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Like, there really isn't that much left to do. Like, outside of VR, which we went over already.
Okay.
You can go, like, full-on Sword Art Online, but, like, that's
I don't
it.
think we want
Like,
that world.
yeah, I know, but there's nothing really left to do. Maybe holographic projection, if that ever became a thing. But realistically, there's nothing
I
left.
think it could be augmented. Could be augmented.
Could be. Like the, Microsoft... What was that thing called?
HoloLens.
HoloLens, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, Ben, we should do a sign off, and you should edit this video.
Mm.
You should edit this video where
Yeah.
that like last conversation doesn't exist.
Yeah.
What do you mean by like you heard that, right?
No, nothing we said contributed to anything.
Well,
No.
I'm tired of editing things, so you know what? I'm just gonna keep it in anyways. Regardless, you're gonna have to sit through it. This is not the show where everything has to be insightful. You're gonna have some trash here and there. So you're gonna have some trash here and there. So I don't really care what you're sitting through this anyways. So yeah, at this point, are there any final words before we wrap this up?
Yeah, buy a Switch in 2020 when it's good. You heard it here first, right here.
And where can you buy the Switch?
Oh my
You can
god.
buy the Switch in Mississauga, Ontario, in Canada, or Toronto, at 5150 Dixie Road at Game Experts.
There we go. Your shameless plugging for like
Plug,
your-
shameless plug.
shameless plug. Okay, Nick, any final words?
Any final words? Nope.
Really?
Well, Nick's saying that it's gonna flop. Switch is gonna flop, right?
Okay, fine. Final words. Wii U 2.0, Ava is the best show, and Persona 4 for the win.
By the way, I am kind of lazy, so we don't really do that creative outros. Sorry.